Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Butler here, and today I have a special treat for you. Over on Twitch, where I stream every week, we had a little finale for Shining Pearl that we played all the way through. During some EV training, I caught myself a shiny Bidoof, our only shiny, and I decided I would train it up to level 100, and take this lone soldier of ours all the way to the Elite Four, the rematch, the second rematch. And I was going to defeat all of them, using just the Bidoof. Our main strategy, which I'll get into later once we're in our first fight, is centered around the ability Moody, which, long story short, raises a stat by 2 and lowers a stat by 1. But you'll get to see that plenty, don't you worry. Our moves are where you get to see a little sneak peek at our strategy. Our only attacking move is Pluck, and only 2 of the Pokemon we'll be going up against actually resist that. That's why we chose it. Not particularly strong. Amnesia's our only boosting move, and then Rest and Protect to keep alive for as long as possible. But, well, you'll see a little trick that we do somewhere later on. Our stats are purely for surviving. We don't need any attack, we don't need any speed, and we most certainly don't need any special attack, so HP, special defense, and regular defense. That's all we're going to use. So we trained this thing. We didn't just train it. Eevee trained it, and Super trained it. We used extremely valuable bottle caps, and now we're ready. Our rules are pretty simple. Just Bidoof, nobody else, no items during combat, and I try to avoid using any sort of cheesy tactic, although I suppose the initial tactic itself is rather cheesy. But no double team, that sort of thing, evasion, too simple. Let's get into it. Our first fight is with Aaron. Supposed to be a bug type trainer, but in the second rematch he doesn't really adhere to that very well, but you'll see. Okay, let's see some of the strategy that we've got going. First turn is almost always going to be the same thing. We want to lead with Amnesia. We get that nice special defense boost, and you'll see, turns out, everybody we go up against leads with something that primarily only uses special attacks, though a small error you'll see very soon in that. After we're fully buffed after hours and hours of waiting, then we're ready to finally start sweeping. Protect and Rest has kept us rather healthy, and now we can go through the Pokemon pretty fast. Yanmega goes down. Heracross, who could have been a threat with this close combat, 4 times weak to flying, piece of cake. Immediately into Flygon. Flygon's a little bit more on the bulky side, but 2, 3, piece of cake. Again, easily goes down. Vespiquen could also be an issue if she can get enough defend orders off, maybe? Nope. Also dead very easily. Turns out when most of your team is weak to flying, Pluck is not so bad, despite its 60 power. And now, our first challenge, Scizor. Not particularly threatening, however, with those higher critical chances, we gotta really watch out. We do take them down, and we go straight into Drapion when we land a crit of our own, but this is where the biggest threat is. All throughout my attempts, Scizor, super easy, went really nice on us, no crits, always went into Drapion with lots of health. But if Drapion happens to get a pretty nice crit on us with a Night Slash, we're dead. And you're gonna see a pattern of, if we get crit by certain Pokemon, we just die immediately. Crits bypass all of your stat boosts, so if a Bidoof, even at level 100, gets hit by a Drapion, it's as though you've brought, well, a level 1 Magikarp to fight the Elite Four, and you're killed. Just as easily as Aaron was here. Luckily, no crits. Bertha, on the other hand, like I mentioned before, I made a small miscalculation. Go figure, the ground-type trainer has Earthquake on almost her entire team, and that includes Wishcash, who normally, I would say, is a special attacker, but unfortunately, the Earthquake gets around Amnesia pretty well, and that means we have no other choice. We have to rely on a defense up rather early, and this is actually where we first started having quite a lot of trouble. Aaron we actually beat in only a couple of tries. In fact, we ended up fighting him so many times I don't really recall our losses. In this case, Wishcash beat us rather soundly. But as you can see, one defense up right at the start of the fight, and that's pretty much all we really need. Well, we need to avoid all the defense downs, but that's besides the point. Killing Wishcash, just as easy as all the rest. A few plucks, goodbye Wishcash. Mamoswine, who can hit pretty hard, same thing, pretty easy. Gliscor, maybe a little bit tankier than the other two, but at the same time, gives us a nice, delicious citrus berry snack. Hippowdon could be very difficult, but if we're very lucky, our high damage rolls could stop it from getting a full restore and eating through a lot of our moves, which we're starting to run a little bit low on by the time we actually get to Rhyperior, who is really, really tanky. And look at that damage. Absolutely pathetic. If we can just sit here and stall him out, though, the Sandstorm goes away, we just kick him again and again and again, and away he goes. Bertha, I didn't expect to be quite so difficult. On normal playthroughs, I usually consider her to be the easiest, but in this case, we didn't really have any water moves, no grass moves, nothing where we could just show up and just kill all the Pokemon super easily. We do manage to beat her, though, and it's a nice hurdle to pass. Keep in mind, though, if Nidoking, if Rhyperior, a whole lot of them, if they crit us, it doesn't really matter what we're doing, though. They can end a run instantly. Speaking of which, we're on to Flint. Fire type. You know, I actually expected Flint to be a lot more of a challenge than he ended up being. The burns could easily drop our damage down to nothing, but we can rest that off pretty easy, and Ninetales actually poses one of the biggest threats on his team, surprisingly. It's got Nasty Plot, and if the AI is smart enough to do it 3 times, our special defense ups are mostly neutralized. But lucky for us, Ninetales is really only a threat in the sunlight, and it'll probably go away before it uses 3 Nasty Plots. And Ninetales never even tried. It was only 1, I believe. And then Infernape, who has a nice stab close combat. Turns out the Elite Four actually really likes close combat, but it's nice that at the very least, if they have a stab version of it, we can probably hit them pretty hard, because Pluck. That's right. Also, Arcanine has it too. Ha ha ha. Ninetales died, Infernape died, Arcanine, you would think be pretty tough for us, but honestly, without stab, close combat just doesn't do enough. Just kidding. Yeah. So you can imagine that I was clenching pretty hard at that. Lucky for us, we have the power of friendship to keep ourselves alive. We got lucky, and well, Bidoof loves us enough to not want to die. Good for him. Rapidash next. Arcanine went down with a little bit of a scare. Rapidash, nothing. No fight whatsoever. And just at the very end, Magmortar sends us off with a little, haha, I burned you. Good for you. What's important to mention is we are healing up between these fights, because there is no way for us to do this without any moves whatsoever. We would easily run out by the end of Bertha, or even if we could get that far, somewhere in the middle. Lucian, who could have also been a bit of a threat to us, leads with a Mr. Mime, and Mr. Mime loves Light Screen and Reflect, and we do too. Not that we're using it, but we love it when Mr. Mime wastes turn after turn after turn setting up screens, and we can just buff like crazy. Piece of cake. He's a little bit on the tanky side, especially if he's got a screen up, but if we time our pluck just right, we'll kill him just as his screen goes down, and the rest of his team won't be able to benefit from that. The rest of the team being mostly a bunch of pretty frail special attackers, except for Bronzong, which, besides Rhyperior, who we've already killed, is the only other person that resists pluck. And look at that pathetic damage. Yeah, again, we're not going to do very much to Bronzong. He is going to eat through a lot of our plucks, though, which is a big, big problem. Espeon, pretty squishy. Easy to kill with pluck. No problem there. Things start to get a little bit worse for us, though, pretty quick. We kill Alakazam, as you might imagine. He has about 5 defense, so he's not going to be able to survive anything. But then there's Slowbro, who isn't quite as well off against pluck as Rhyperior or Bronzong, but he has Slack Off. Not only does he have Slack Off, but just like us, he's got leftovers. And that doesn't mean that we're going to have a hard time killing him. That means we can't kill him. It's not possible. He will kill, well, he will use up all of our moves, and then we've got nothing. We're not simply going to struggle all of Lucian to death. So, instead, we've got to go into the TM menu. Midway through the Elite Four, we take a look through all of our nice moves. Obvious choice, Shadow Ball. Why can Bidoof learn Shadow Ball? Who cares? Point being, we're throwing it on there. We don't really need Protect. As I said before, we get Mr. Mime to start, and Mr. Mime is not going to be threatening enough where we need to get some leftovers in between rests and boosts and all that. So we're back at it. Slowbro's going down, and he's not just going down, he's getting destroyed. Yeah. He's got a decent special defense, but it's certainly not as good as his physical defense, and he's very weak to it. Oh, and also, by the way, he's got a Gallade, but as you might imagine, Gallade's not going to be able to survive that hit. So, goodbye, Gallade. And that leaves just one. It's all led up to this. Yes, the first 4 were tough. In fact, Slowbro forced us to change our strategy ever so slightly. And lots of crits along the way could have easily done us in. And just between you and me, they did. But we managed to work our way all the way to the top. So now it's time for the final showdown. Cynthia's no joke. We had to deal with bug types, ground types, fire types, psychic types, and her type is Smogon Gen 4 overused. So, needless to say, she's not pulling any punches. She's got probably one of the strongest lineups of any Elite Four member, champion, you name it, of any generation. Lucky for us, she leads with Spiritomb, and Spiritomb has Sucker Punch. And when the AI has Sucker Punch, you know exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna spam it. And it's not gonna do anything when you spend 400 turns buffing your Bidoof like crazy. There is a small threat though. If the AI wants to, who can understand the AI, it could swap in some Lucario. And Lucario could very easily close combat us early on. Later on, not quite enough to do half damage. Very good for us, especially given that after that defense drop, Pluck is going to tear through whatever Lucario happens to have left. Then it's on to kind of more of just a small hurdle in Togekiss. Togekiss is decently bulky and has annoying moves like Thunder Wave to paralyze us, but we don't even need to worry about that because the thing following it up is Porygon, and Porygon's not bad, but it's certainly not going to be able to survive us. You know who is going to be able to survive us? This Milotic. And all throughout the Elite Four, this hasn't necessarily been a problem, except for, I guess, Slowbro. But now we're looking at Milotic, and Milotic is pretty tanky. And as we will discover, Milotic also has Recover. But there's a very interesting twist. This Milotic happens to have a Flame Orb, which at the end of the turn is going to burn Milotic. The strategy there is that Marble Scale will boost Milotic's physical defense by 50%, but also start doing chip damage. So the plan is, if we can just stall out Milotic, eventually Milotic will burn itself to death. It all comes down to exactly how long that's going to take, though. We only have so many plucks, so we can't just throw them out willy-nilly. We honestly only have so many protects and rests and amnesias, and by the time we actually get to the point where we can take down Milotic, or rather just let it slowly burn to death, we've only got 4 plucks left, we've got 1 rest left, and 1 protect left. And if you're counting, there's only 1 Pokemon left for us to deal with, and that is Cynthia's ace, the Garchomp. That's right. And our level 100 advantage doesn't mean much to a level 88. That's a very small advantage, and Garchomp obviously has stats that far outweigh our own, and he also has rough skin. What that means is we're going to be taking chip damage every single time we hit him. So we have so many things to contend with. How many moves we have left, how much damage he can do, and don't forget, Garchomp easily will kill us with a crit at any point, without question. If we could stall him out, maybe we could make him waste all of his Earthquakes. But like I said, we don't have time for that. 1 Protect and a Rest is not going to outlast Earthquakes. 10, 15, it doesn't matter. Pluck has got to do a lot of work, and it's got to do a lot of work now. And one thing that I didn't mention is I'm very bad at keeping track of whether or not my opponent has used any full restores. And I think they've been used up to this point. I'm not sure. So the math, it's on the table. That's what's going to decide this. Can we deal enough damage for this to end or not? If this is going to end, it's going to end right before the finish line. And we're going to struggle all the way there, no matter how much it hurts us. But don't take it from me. We're going to throw it back to Butler from the past and see the reaction live. I'm going to protect right now. This sucks. This sucks big time. Oh my god, I can't believe we're this close. Crit here could kill us. Crit while we're sleeping will kill us. We have to deal with rough skin too? I don't know. That's a lot of damage to deal with Struggle without killing myself. Oh my god. Please don't drop defense. I don't know if that'll make a difference. Alright. Here we go. We have to A, not die while asleep. B, wake up with enough HP. C, not kill ourselves. It's a lot of things that have to go right. Attack went back up. No defense drop. No defense drop. Okay, special defense, that's fine. If we wake up early, that will also help, but we can't bet on it. We can bet on that, though. That's a little bit more HP in the tank. Okay. No defense drop. That's not good. Okay, we didn't wake up early, but that's okay. No crit, no crit, no crit. Okay, still good. We might do this. It comes down to a lot of different numbers, though. Rough skin, recoil, how much damage we do. Like, if this takes us 3 turns to struggle him to death, we're gonna die. Here we go. Struggle number 1. The crit. Oh my god. Oh my god. There it is. Look at the damage I just did to myself. Oh my god. Yeah, we would not have been able to do 3. 2 probably would have killed us as well. Oh my god. Look at that. You don't see a screen like that very often, do you? And with that, it's over. Barely by the skin of our big buck teeth. Like I said, we stream this live over on Twitch. I do it every week. A little bit of carving, a little bit of games, a little bit of everything. I'd love to see you there. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I sure did.